Moonshine and Secrets, Part 3. The Birth of Claire's Hidden Powers. The town returned to its usual stillness in the days following the destruction of the box. But Claire was anything but still. Inside she felt a strange, unshakable energy, something new and foreign that hummed just beneath her skin. At first she dismissed it as exhaustion or the lingering tension from her confrontation with Black Mona. But as the days turned into weeks, she began to notice changes. It started with the dreams. Claire would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, her mind filled with visions of swirling lights, galaxies, and symbols she couldn't understand. The dream felt too vivid just to ignore, as if they were trying to tell her something. One evening, as she sat alone on her porch, staring at the distant woods, her lantern flickered and went out. Clara signed and reached for the matches, but before her fingers touched them, the flame reignited on its own. She froze, staring at the lantern. The flame danced unnaturally, its lights casting faint symbols across her walls, symbols she had seen in Mona's house. Claire knew she couldn't keep this to herself, but she also knew she couldn't trust anyone in town. They had been quick to turn on Mona, and if they suspected Claire of having even a fraction of her power, they would do the same to her. There was only one person she could turn to, Eli. She found him in his usual spot, playing his guitar on the porch of his small cabin on the outskirts of town. The soft strains of his music drifted through the air as Claire approached. When she told him about the lantern and the dreams, Eli put down his guitar and studied her carefully. It's her, isn't it? He said, his low voice. Mona's powers. It didn't just vanish. Some of it must have stayed in you. Claire's heart pounded. I didn't ask for this, Eli. I don't want it. He nodded. I know, but whether you want it or not, it's yours now. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Over the next few weeks, Claire and Eli worked in secret to understand her newfound abilities. They met late at night in the woods, far from prying eyes. At first, her powers were small, extinguishing and reigniting flames, feeling the emotion of those around her, and sensing things before they happened. But as she practiced, the power grew. One evening, Eli suggested she try something bigger. What about those trees? He said, gesturing to the towering oaks around them. See if you can move them. Claire hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. What if someone sees us? Eli gave her a reassuring smile. It's just me out here, Claire. No one else. She closed her eyes and focused. A faint humming sound filled the air, and the wind stirred around her. Slowly, one of the similar trees began to sway, not with the breeze, but as if pulled by an unseen force. When Clara opened her eyes, she gasped. The tree branches had twisted slightly, forming the shape of the symbols from her dreams. Eli stared, his expression of a mixed awe and worry. You, you're stronger than you think, he said. But you got to be careful. If anyone finds out, Claire nodded. They won't. This stays between us. Claire became adept at masking her abilities, using them only when absolutely necessary and always away from others. But the power inside her didn't like to be contained. It whispered to her in the quiet moments, urging her to embrace it, to use it, to become something more. Despite her efforts to stay hidden, Clara couldn't ignore the strange pull she felt towards Mona's old house. She visited it once, finding it empty and abandoned, yet still teemed with Mona's presence. In the corner of the room, she discovered a small, untouched artifact, a shard of the ornament box. When she touched it, a surge energy shot through her, confirming what she already knew. Her powers was tied to Mona's in the ways she didn't yet understand. Eli's promise. Eli remained her only confidant. Though he was weary of her growing strength, he vowed to stand by her. If Mona comes back, and we both know she will, you need to be ready, he said. But don't let this power turn you into her. Clara gazed hardened. I won't. She let power consume her. I'll use it to protect this town, not to control it. Eli smirked. Good. Just don't forget about what you are. The town grows suspicious. Despite her best efforts to stay inconspicuous, Claire's behavior didn't go unnoticed. Townfolk whispered about the way she seemed to know things before they happened, how her crop thrived while others struggled, and how she never seemed to age as quickly as the rest of them. Claire deflected their suspicions with a warm smile and kind words, but deep down, she knew she was walking in a fine line. If they ever discovered the truth, they would turn on her just as they had turned on Mona. The final warning. One night, as Claire stood alone on her porch, the wind shifted, carrying with it a voice, a familiar voice. You're playing a dangerous game, Claire. She spun around, her heart pounding, the voice unmistakable. It was Mona's, but the woods were empty, save from the faint glow of fireflies. Clara clenched her fist, her newfound power surging through her veins. I'm not afraid of you, she whispered into the night. The voice laughed softly, fading into the breeze. You should be. As the wind died down, Clara turned and walked back out inside. She didn't tell Eli about the warning, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Mona was closer than she appeared, and that her return was inevitable. The hidden Celestial. Clara continued to live her life quietly, using her power sparingly and only in ways that wouldn't arouse suspicion. But deep inside, she knew she was more than just Clara now. She was something else, something celestial, powerful, and perhaps destined for a greater battle than she could imagine. As the seasons changed, the town moved on, but Clara and Eli waited, always watching, always ready, and somewhere deep in the shadows, Black Mona watched too, waiting for the perfect moment to reclaim what was hers. If you'd like to hear more about this story, Moonshine and Secrets, and dive further and deeper into Chapter 4, please like and subscribe to my channel, Short Stories, Infinite Wisdom. Thank you.